Good evening. Can you hear me?
There we go. Yep. Let me.
Glenn would have something with them. If you are restricted.
All right, Commissioner Doral, for the, okay. Wednesday evening, 5:34 p.m., County Court scheduled work session to discuss the creation of county administrator and the transition or conversion to a board of commissioners. For the record, Commissioner Shellman notified that she would be unable to attend this evening, so it is Commissioner Doral online via Zoom and myself in person. The agenda was just simply that topic to address or to discuss the creation of county administrator and then creation or potential transition eventually to a board of commissioners. On that topic, on the topic of the board of commissioners, Harney County is one of the 6 named counties in ORS 111 that is vested with probate authority, and there is no remedy for divesting that authority other than legislative action. Until that happens, Harney County cannot convert or transition to a board of commissioners. So at this time, that topic is really rather a moot topic. As far as the topic of the creation of a county administrator, if you, I'll let you start, Commissioner Doral, if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, I think it's a good discussion to have. I'm in no particular rush for it to be, the conversation to be hurried through. We've asked, and I believe you, Judge Hart, are seeking job descriptions from counties that have administrators for us to look at and see, because having an unelected person be the administrator should be carefully considered. There's pros and there's cons, but if an administrator makes a lot of the decisions and they're not an elected official and they're not as easily held accountable as elected officials can be, should be, that could be problematic. The continuity they could provide if they were well-suited and well-qualified, and the definition of the administrator's role was well-designed, that could be good. So I'm kind of neutral on it right now. I know that the county judge position with the administrator role and probate and a commissioner role and all that is a big job. It always has been, and it's gotten even more complex as the years have passed and bureaucracy has increased and a lot of things come down from the state. So I want our job, I want it all to be done well. I believe Commissioner Shellman was one who really wanted to move on this more quickly than I care to do. But that's really, I mean, we had a thorough introductory work session discussion, which is on YouTube for anyone who wants to listen to it. I don't have any additional thoughts now for it. But even though it's primarily a work session with the county court to each other, I see retired County Judge Grasty in the audience, and if it's appropriate, I would love to hear his comments tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Doral. For my own position, I am not opposed, as I have mentioned before, I'm not opposed to the creation of a county administrator. But I don't think that at this point in time in Harney County that we're set up for it yet. I long to go with a lot of the lines that you just mentioned about about a lot of authority being vested in a position like that. Until we have the appropriate policy and all that goes along with it, the operating, the way it's gonna operate with a position like that in place, I don't think it's time for us, or we're not ready for it yet at this time. And it also comes back to a financial burden as well. The only, I thought we had received some more copies of different county administrator positions from around the state. But those were for a different position that I was thinking they were for, so I don't have those. But I do have a copy of the Gillum County employment opportunity, wherein they're in the process of doing the same thing and creating a county administrator and also trying to transition to a board of commissioners. Their announcement, just salary wise, is a range of 117,000 to 140,000. Now, granted, Gillum's economic situation is probably better than Harney County's is, but even at a reduced rate of somewhere between $85,000 to $120,000 in Harney County, that's a pretty big burden on our general fund right now that I don't think we could afford either until we have some other structure in place and budgeting ideas. So that's kind of where I stand on it. It's not something that I'm opposed to. And I think it would be good for Harney County. It might actually provide some continuity over time from one elected term to another as people run for office and either don't seek reelection or somebody else is chosen by the voter. That continuity of an administrator could help and not have such a big learning curve for people as they get reelected or newly elected. So that's where I'm at on it. I just don't think we're quite ready for it yet. So at this time, it's the public that we have present. Judge Grasky, if you have any comments or concerns or statement you'd like to make?
So in all honesty, is this, can you hear, is the system picking
Yeah.
up voice okay from here? Or?
Patty, you can hear okay?
Yes,
Okay.
I really came with the intent to sit and listen. And your agenda kind of shows two topics. What do we do about an administrator or not? And then talks about the board of commissioners. So it's all right. Let me take those separately, and I'll just give you my thoughts from the little I've heard from Commissioner Doro and you, Judge. I would suggest you look hard at what a city administrator, Burns and Hines, is being paid, what the hospital administrator, and what the school districts are paying. I think you're going to find that 117 is very low. So I'm glad you're thinking about the money. Huge cost, and by the time you add fringes into that, thinking it's 150, 175,000 a year is not unrealistic to at least be thinking in your minds about. So that's a big challenge. Judge Hart, I'm going to say something that's not picking on you.
No, sir.
But this is real. Over the years, county judges, county administrators have been elected. Every one of them had a different set of skill bases. I got lucky in that I served as a county commissioner under Dale White for a while and helped me dramatically. I had a ton of business experience. I don't really know, other than law enforcement, your background, but I will tell you today, when I look at this job, there's less, not more. And the reason I say that is because today there's an HR person. I did all the HR, all of it, and probably consumed 20% of my time. So I don't know what else has changed. Rules and laws are going to change all the time. We all know. This is a hard decision as we go ahead. But so let me. Both of these decisions are. One of them, I think the biggest thing is money. And I think you're focused on that and good on you in court and hope you stay after that and make it work. It's gonna work. Great. As far as converting to a board of commissioners, the biggest thing I want this court to do is if that's gonna happen, the consideration's gonna happen, please refer it to the vote of the people. This is historic. Every county in Oregon started with the county court, every one. And it comes with a certain level of respect, that title, that is hugely beneficial for Harney County. Not for you or me or Dale. The reality is, when Judge Hart calls a national office of one of the federal agencies, you're likely to get past the phone staff where a county commissioner won't. And we witnessed that. Dan Nichols and I got sat together and made calls together to get past secretaries. That is beneficial to this county. Not to the person sitting in that chair, to this county. And all I care about is this county being successful. And the two commissioners and you guys need to be successful. It's just good for us, for this county, this place we live. And I think I heard you say this, but for three people to make a decision to change the form of government doesn't seem right. And then you recognized up front that apparently there's a state statute that would prevent the transfer of the probate authority without legislative action. So you're gonna make the decision, get there so you can propose that in the next legislative session, I suspect. It's it's not gonna happen before then. My hunch is you wouldn't get a lot of pushback from the legislature. They're gonna see that as a local decision and they're just gonna run it through probably. So, I wish you luck in both of these decisions. These are not easy. They're expensive and they're major decisions, and good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate those comments. I will add to, and I think I mentioned it at the last work session, that there is a specific statute, and I believe it's ORS 203.030, something like that, that specifically addresses the transition of a county court to a board of commissioners. And in that, it gives two ways of doing it, and one of them is by a county order, and the other is by the electorate of the county. It would be my preference to do the former. They'll, have the people of Harney County speak to what they want. So.
I absolutely want it to be a vote of the people, and I want it to be a well-informed people with lots of very clear conversation, town halls, meetings, whatever, leading up to it, and then let the people decide.
Yes.
Judge, if I can say or add to this, a pretty small group we got here today, but if that happens, and Commissioner Doral, I like that idea, lots of town meetings, and you want somebody there with the historic perspective, I'll be happy to volunteer, or at your advice, I'll stay away. So.
You, as a citizen of Harney County, have as much a voice as anybody else. I would appreciate and welcome your presence. And then you add on top of that, you're past the occupation of this chair. So that brings a lot more insight than what I could bring to it. So
I can bring the history.
yeah. So that's all I have at this time. I mean, obviously they tried to amend ORS 111 in the short session regarding the probate authority. That didn't happen. So that part of the conversation is really, I mean, we can continue to talk about it, but there's no urgency in it now because of that. So I would say that portion of the topic is closed out for the time being.
So if I can ask, have you talked to Judge Ratio? what would he think of that caseload being added?
I have, I've had conversations with Circuit Court Judge Ratio. And he was not opposed to it. From his point of view, depending on the caseload, they might have to, create another clerk's position, a probate clerk. But even at this time right now, any cases that have an air of conflict to them, if it looks like there's gonna be any kind of a probate case that has a conflict brewing, you know, from heirs or any other interested parties, we normally transfer them upstairs to circuit court right away. If it looks like they're gonna have that kind of a status to them or whatever. So they're already covering the more difficult probate cases for us. And we've had those discussions that if it was to move up there permanently, he's not opposed to it. So, Commissioner Doral, anything further?
No, I didn't want to hold this particular work session because I thought we didn't have anything new to discuss, but it's been great to have the Grasties here, so I guess it was a good deal.
All right, if there's nothing further, no other comments or discussion for the record. Last call, so to speak. Then we shall adjourn and thank everybody for your time.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Commissioner Dora, we'll see you next time.
Yes, indeed.
Courthouse or wherever.
Thank you.
Bet.
Bye.